Welcome to the Manual Channel. I am your host, Dan Gall, and on the show today we have Leticia Fernández de Mesa, the founder and CEO of UNA Vodka. Leticia's journey is one of creativity and innovation, transitioning from the world of fine art, where she worked with Sotheby's, to creating a groundbreaking botanical infused vodka. We're going to dive into her story, explore what makes Una Vodka so unique, and uncover the passion that drives her. But before we get started, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. Let's go. Letty, welcome to the show today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here with you, Dan.
Thank you. Your career began in the art world, including your time at Sotheby's, where you worked with some of the biggest names in contemporary art. How did you experience and your influence and all that work with that art inspire you and translate that into the spirits and vodka industry?
Well, it is a 180 shift from my art dealing career to the spirits industry. And I guess it's the perpetual seeking of how to experience beauty in different ways. I've always looked for beauty, to surround myself with beauty, not in a snobbish way, but in a way that helps you identify yourself more, not to know yourself more. And this is what led me to go into this spirits industry and launch a product that would excite, that would amaze, and that would help identify with the consumers.
How do you think your background in art has shaped the way you present and promote Una and the brand?
Everything about Una is based on giving that perception of how to identify beauty, how you can experience different things, how you can amaze, how you can excite people, no? So our ethos in the brand, from our liquids to how we present the bottle, I think Una's bottle speaks for itself, and you can see how much creativity goes into everything. Also, in every experience we give our consumers, our activations, everything about the brands is focused on bringing this beauty to life because you are drinking nature's finest, which are flowers.
And that's the tie-in, I believe, at least from the art world, where you're looking at a piece of art, you have that appreciation for beauty, or sometimes not beauty, but really the creativity and the skill. You mentioned the bottle. I have a bottle right here. One I love, kind of like that pink, light pink color to the vodka, but the label is actually really beautiful, and you can see the tie-in to the flowers, the begonia, and art in itself, because the label looks like you're pulling from art. It's not photos, right? It's actually it looks like paintings, right?
Exactly. Well, Una is about making moments last, telling a story through every single sip. And like a piece of art, we're telling a story just as a brushstroke, no, on a painting. It's a story of adventure, it's a story of love, of fascination, and whatever else the journey may bring. Art has always been about finding beauty and meaning in the world around us. And that same passion led me to create Una. So basically, our journey with Una began with a deep dive into the world of these edible flowers that you're mentioning, especially the begonia. That's where this journey truly began. And it actually took us 4 years to perfect this formula, believe it or not. So this is like an ongoing project, even though we launched it into the market 2 years ago. So we wanted to create something unique, something special. And vodka was the perfect canvas to introduce the essence, the hues of these flowers. So what you were mentioning, these blush hues in Una, come from the begonia, which is truly a unique and singular flower. What Una means, unique and singular. And that's, let's say, the principal flower of our essence and what took us off, no? To experiment, to really dive into this limitless world. Because I've always been fascinated by unlimited worlds where anything can happen. just like the art world. Again, turning back to the principle, no, of UNA.
But what was the moment or experience that made you decide, like, I'm gonna go on this journey of Una, like creating Una and choosing the begonia? Like, what was there a specific moment in time that you were like, yeah, I'm gonna do this?
Well, my husband and I, Inigo and I, are originally from Spain, and when we got married, we moved to Colombia. I guess seeking adventure and with lots of energy in our hearts, and the world is ours. We can do whatever. So now looking back at it, I'm like, wow, we were completely crazy. Uh, Completely. But it all began really in Colombia. I started an auction house there. So while we were doing our ventures, we were in this route of discovery of the beautiful different regions in Colombia. We started playing around with different flowers. Flowers are magnetic, and it was just one of those attractions that you can't break. And it just fascinates you, and it attracts you, and no sé, different feelings to the different tastes and different colors. And it was just experimenting with these flowers. We infused them, and our kitchen looked like a literal laboratory of different essences. And of course, as good Europeans, we have spirits in our DNA. So we would start to infuse them, and it just became something bigger than an infusion itself. It became a way to share with others, to talk to others, to just embrace that beauty in a way. So what really changed everything was the discovery of the begonia. The begonia has never been used in the spirits industry before. It's a fascinating flower. There's more than 1,000 species. They're original from tropical, subtropical regions. Now you'll probably look around you and you find them everywhere. They're widespread in the world today. But it's just a fascinating flower. When you infuse it, it brings out the essence of the begonia and this hue. And when you taste tuna, that I know we're going to taste it today, um, you'll be. It's a very complex journey, and that's what kind of excited us. And of course, what's the purest of spirits? Vodka, and vodka was the best channel to really respect these ingredients. No, so the principle of our brand is about respecting the ingredients.
How many different flowers did you go through before discovering the begonia?
Exactly.
Doesn't
No
need to be
clue.
exact, for sure. It sounds
Thousands,
like a lot. Thousands. Wow.
thousands, thousands, Dan. O sea, it was really a route of discovery, but it wasn't like an organized discovery. It just pulled us in, introducing the flowers, these edible flowers, into recipes. You can do such a beautiful and tasteful salad with edible flowers. You can decorate a cake. O sea, it really is a unique discovery, and I invite people, your listeners, to really look into this world, which is fascinating, not only in the obvious beauty, that flowers bring to our lives, but also they have so much more to offer us.
Do you have one that you could give advice around to avoid? Like, was there one that you were like, "Whoa, that was a mistake," trying to infuse that one?
The mustard flower was like, because at first I was very excited about that tingling taste that you would imagine. But flowers just transform in so many ways when you infuse them rather than just tasting them. And it just didn't work.
Yeah, I mean, first thing in my head with mustard is like very, I mean, because I'm thinking of the condiment, very strong flavor. I could see how that could be a tough one to infuse. I'm sure the flour tastes a little bit different than the seed. Mustard, the condiment is
Yes.
made from the seed, but that's super interesting.
But the mustard flower, although the appearance is beautiful, it just didn't work for our flavor profile that we wanted to achieve. So then our flower has begonia flower, of course, and orange blossom and vanilla flower. Because at first we were going to launch it just with the begonia, but it needed something else. It needed a bit of balance. So that's why we got into all these different tastings, different purities, different everything.
Yeah. What were some of the challenges besides having to go through thousands of flowers to finally kind of land on the begonia, even though it sounded like the process was more of a, like, I wouldn't call it a labor, but like something that you were just having fun with and then, sounds like sucked into it, right? But what were
Yeah.
some of those challenges that you faced um, doing this?
I guess as dreamers, it was actually turning this dream into a reality, no?
Mm,
Uh, Not only, as you say, because of the product itself, the formula, the bottle, the design of the bottle, because we really wanted people to realize what they were going to sip, no? But also this fierce, saturated industry. So, and also along the line, I would like to say that maintaining that true spirit of why we want to do this, that's one of the biggest challenges in our day to day many times because there's so many options to go an easier route or do some things differently that you would just get shortcuts. That's the reality. So making those right decisions when the tough gets going, that's one of the biggest barriers. But again, it's about authenticity of staying true to oneself and especially respecting Una because Una has taken a long time to get into your hands and the hands in the market. So I really want to be respectful of that process and all that love that went into it. No?
awesome.
Yeah.
How has the market responded to Una and this unique profile? And I can imagine like mixologists being kind of really excited to work with this.
Yes. Well, it's really overwhelming, not only by, at first you start with your family, with your friends, and that kind of expansion wave it goes along, and it's just overwhelming. Every time I see somebody taste Una, not only behind the bar and crafting a cocktail, but the direct to consumer, the comments I've received are 18,000 reviews of people like giving it so many stars and excellent product. And it's just overwhelming, not because I didn't know that Una was different, because I always knew we had something special in our hands. But to actually see that in people's faces is crazy beautiful, and it just gives us the strength to keep going. And as you were mentioning, our ethos is mostly focused on this creativity and unlimitless world. All the mixologists or the bartenders are really a really strong part of our community because they're creators, they're artists. And so to see the different techniques, how they mix up Una and how they see, just to look at the faces, and it never goes a different way. Every time I go into an account and I talk to people and they taste Una, there's something about the face, and I can't wait to see it from you, Dan. There's something that lights up, and it's like, oh, wow. It's always surprising because when you see the vodka shelves, other infused or flavored vodkas are mainly fruity, or people think that it's going to have like a very sweet flavor profile, but it completely amazes the consumer.
Well, I'm gonna pour myself a little bit in a second, but I have one more question before I do that, which is, what is your go-to cocktail made with Una? What's your favorite one? And I know you have a bunch listed on your site, so one from there would be amazing.
Well, as a purist, I have to say, because again, our principle is respecting the products and everything that goes into Una. My favorite is the Una Martini. It just needs Una, which also gives you a sense of how consistent Una is, because it's just delicious. You don't need any other ingredients. You just get it cold, pour it, and it's just amazing. But of course, you can mix it with any other ingredient. It goes really well with, for example, lychee. It's so delicious. You can just imagine the softness of the lychee with that crisp, bright, floral notes of Una. And then I'm very excited to share that we just worked on on a new cocktail development. So we brought out classic cocktails reimagined. Of course, we want to bring excitement, enthusiasm, and different things into the market. So these new cocktails, like the Tuxedo Number 4, the Una Spritz, the Cosmonaut, which I love the name. It's like a Cosmo reimagined, reinterpreted. So just lots of different and amazing cocktails.
I'm excited to try some of those. I will definitely be making an Una cocktail on our channels for like YouTube Shorts and TikTok and Instagram. So a little lead into, my self promotion for doing that. I do it every Friday, and I do a different cocktail. So I definitely want to do one with Una. But I'm gonna open this up. I've already taken the seal off. And by the way, one of the first things that is immediately noticeable besides the label is this topper here with the flower. I'm assuming this is a begonia. It's very beautiful. The red really draws a lot of attention, I imagine, to when it's on a shelf. And it stands out. Like, I get a lot of bottles in for what I do, and this is kind of like peaks its head up above everything else, and it's just like this little beacon. So I'm excited. I'm going to pour a little bit and I'm going to sniff it. And if you could just walk me through what the best way for me to just kind of sample this for now, like, do you recommend having it open up a little bit? You know, just, swirl it in the mouth. What's your recommendation on how someone should drink this straight?
Well, I think to try it, first of all, you're doing an amazing job. It's just to try it, to really get those notes out in this room temperature. Of course, to look at the color, Dan, the first thing that calls the attention is the beautiful color and the strength and quality of what you're sipping. And of course, to give it a little air to breathe, I think that cup is perfect for this tasting.
Mm.
And once you put it in your mouth, you'll start in that complex flavor journey that we were talking about before.
Yeah, it is definitely complex. It's subtle too. So like you're right. Like, a lot of flavored vodkas are very strong and powerful in a flavor. Usually because they're used as part of an ingredient in a cocktail that is specific to a specific flavor. I can see how this can stand on its own. You also get the orange oil at the tail end, right? Like there's that kind of, it gets a little bit soft and coats your tongue a bit, and you get that citrus hint of citrus on the back end. It's really, really lovely. And the color, by the way, like again, if you didn't see it in the bottle, people may not notice, but if you look at it, you're like, this is definitely like a really light pink. And is that because of the begonia?
Yes, the
Okay.
begonia gets super blush light color, and it's just gorgeous because we're not a pink vodka. It's just about, again, respecting the ingredients that Una has, and we just wanted to reflect this beautiful color of our main flower. And as you were saying, that brightness of not only the begonia, which I think is the flower that mostly stands out when you're tasting and sipping Una. That's those bridesmaids, if you want to call them some, which is the orange blossom that gives it that citrusy, gorgeous, like atmospheric tone, and the vanilla flower, which mostly gives it a little bit of sweetness without giving it a sweet flavor profile, but just adding that perfect balance of perfection for me. For me, Una is just wow.
Yeah. Is that the begonia that I taste up front like that? Because it's so
Yes,
unique. Like I don't think I've ever tasted something like that before. And the thing that I can only describe this as is stages, right? Like you get like that hit of begonia up front that is a little that is I wouldn't call it subtle, but it's not super strong. But then it goes into once it kind of starts going into the back of your tongue, it goes into this. a little bit stronger of a flavor. That might be, I think, probably the vanilla flower or something like that in there. And I don't necessarily know what a vanilla flower tastes like either. I think of vanilla extract in that kind of flavor. And then it goes into the orange blossom for me, and then that kind of oily on the tongue, really soft, and it's just soft, right? So yeah, really, really interesting. That's the complexity there because it changes over literally, like I would say, like 3 seconds, like 2 to 3 seconds. You go through a little bit of a journey.
And it also, what I love about Una is that it lingers. It stays with you. Know what you were talking about, those different stages, and there's
Mhm.
so many in this first sip that you had because it's just an atmospheric taste of bright, crisp, delightful, complex, beautiful taste that really go very well with this smooth sip of corn based, and it just marinates completely perfectly, no? Of course, it's delicious if you put it in your freezer. That's like a whole new experience,
You're reading
I
my mind. Yeah.
egg like just wait to put it in your freezer and actually like doing a martini. Please, please, Dan, try the Una martini because you're gonna be swept away.
I'm gonna try that tonight. I'm gonna put this in the freezer actually when we get off here, because that was like the next thing for me is that adding, coldness to it. Just I feel like it would make it really enhance that refreshing feeling out of this. Because again, this is to me is like a sipper. Like I literally could sit down and probably sip this without any issue, not with like feeling. If there's something super heavy in terms of sweet, even some bourbons, after like one or two of them, like I'm kind of sugared out. I don't feel that I would have that here. I could literally sip this throughout an evening and be happy with it and not be overwhelmed. It's not overwhelming. And then you're right, the vodka really does a favor to the begonia because the vodka is not the primary component on this. Like it really is those complex flavors that are coming out, but in such a wonderful, subtle way, again, that you can enjoy it and not be overwhelmed.
Exactly. I love that you said that you can enjoy it because Una is made for that smooth journey, no? To
Yeah.
really enjoy something different because when you start with Una, you can really continue with Una. It doesn't, you're not going to get tired of it. It just continues to grow on you, to grow on you. So I'm very proud to say that in the places where we're in, I go there for dinner and watch people. Of course, I'm obsessed because Una has taken over my life.
Yeah.
But I just watch how people sip it. And usually, if they start with a cocktail with Una, they'll stay with a cocktail of Una. They won't change.
Yeah, and this is your art piece, so I can imagine how it makes you excited and happy to see how people react to it. It's just like seeing somebody look at a piece of art and contemplate what it means to them, because for everybody it's different, right? And that's what's kind of fun about these types of experiences. Audio, visual, and taste is part of the fun of why we do it is those journeys. And this leads me into my next question, I feel like. Perfect segue into what drives your journey, your everyday. What is your why behind continuing to do this and why you created the brand?
Well, when we first started Una, of course, it was a dream between my husband and I. And I guess all this path has kind of evolved my why because in the interim of imagining Una, dreaming about Una, and actually launching it into the market, my two daughters were born. So I guess my why now, when I get overwhelmed and I feel like the world is crushing on top of me, I just get myself together and really fight for them, because I want them to have an example of that you can really dream and achieve through really hard work, consistency, resilience, and all these crazy words, but that are in my day to day, every single day. My why are definitely my daughters and the team that has been with me from the beginning and that is continuously growing, thank goodness. But so many people not only as the team per se in the everyday life of Una, but all these mixologists, bartenders, people that have given us a real chance to get into the consumer's hands and experience something different. I just feel like I have like a huge responsibility of pulling through and actually, keep growing, keep believing, and making the world bloom with a unique and singular sip. So that's what drives me.
Lots of respect to you for doing this and giving birth to two daughters and raising them all while doing that. That is definitely a feat, not easy to do. How how have you managed to do this while being a mother? Like, how do you balance that role of being CEO and ambassador and everything else to Una, and then uh, being a mom? And what advice would you give to other women entrepreneurs who want to do something like this?
I wouldn't dream of giving advice because I'm still figuring it out. That's the truth. I just focus on really the quality of the moments I have with my daughters because Una is a 24/7 commitment. Again, it's taking over my life, and that's fine. I love it. I have passion for it. It's pulling through and will continue to pull through because Una's here to stay. But I just focus when I'm feeling bad about myself because I don't have enough time or I can't get to school at this time for this meeting or, because it is overwhelming. I just focus on the quality of time and also making my family participate of what is achieved every day. Maybe there's 1,000 steps backwards, but there are steps further that forward that I like to share with them. So I guess celebrating the good things and just focusing on the moments because in reality this product, this una, and I'm looking at the bottle because it's all over my house and everything, in my car and todo. What resumes una is actually what's in our back label. It says, "Come on, beauty, let's adore one another before there is no more of you and me." That's what una is about being in the moment with your family, with your friends, with your colleagues. Every single thing that you do in life, it's all in the details. And I try personally to really put focus on the details every day. That's how I survive.
I love it. That's amazing. And actually that is advice. So thank you so much for that. Living in the moment and focusing on the wins is how I interpret that and sharing that with those around you that you love.
Yes.
So if since launching this and growing a family and being a mom and everything that comes in between that, is there anything that you wish you would have known from the start that you could have taken advantage of? Obviously, there's a lot of learning lessons as you move forward, new experiences. What's like one thing you wish you had known from the start that you could have taken advantage of?
So many things. Firstly, I would say that you can't do, I can't do this alone. So to realize many times, especially when we first started, I took on so many roles, no? Uh, so really surrounding yourself with the right people, people that you admire and you trust, because I'm a very trustful, and maybe to be very sincere, maybe that's a flaw, because I've learned that trust has to be gained, not only from my part, but from others' parts. So I would say that's one of my main lessons to really build up a team from the beginning. People, it doesn't matter how much budget you have, it's really focusing on the people, the relationships, building those strong relationships, and really, uh, if you're gonna launch something into the market, if you're a dreamer, if you're an entrepreneur, a crazy person, because I consider myself a crazy person, um, just be around the right people because those are the ones that are going to uplift you when it really gets tough and what will help you achieve your goals for sure.
Yeah, I love that. Surrounding yourself with people is so key that are not just supportive, but also tell you the truth right? Of what is up. When your failures, right? Like we all fail, part of learning. Not just blowing smoke towards you to make you feel like you're making all the right decisions and instead helping us move forward, I think is so valuable.
Completely. It's all a learning curve. You know, every industry has its learning curve. Obviously, I come from a different sector, but I have to say that I've found in my experience that the art world has lots of similarities with the spirits industry, and there's tough players. It's really saturated, but there's always room for new things. There's always room for excitement.
Always room to make a new splash and disrupt what people think an industry is, right? And you see that in the art world all the time,
Yeah.
even with digital stuff happening or has happened, or a new artist comes along, or even somebody like Banksy, which, the mystique and unknowing of what he's doing, right? Or they are doing, because we don't even know necessarily who he is, I think. Anyways, that's a totally different tangent. But I love it. So what is next for you and Una Vodka? Are there any like new projects that you're working on that you can talk about?
Well, every day's an excitement, you know. We have distribution currently in Florida, Texas, and California, and we're looking into expanding into New York in 2025, early 2025, which I'm super excited about. And then we have really cool campaigns coming up. For example, for October, we're donating $2 of every bottle sold of Una to F Cancer, which is an amazing association nationwide. We're doing it across the 3 states where we do have distribution. And this is going towards free scans and also women that have gone mastectomies to be able to regain their strength and beauty through Flower Tattoo Artists. It's just an amazing organization. So we have this huge campaign coming up. We also have new boxes that I'll send you one, Dan, of course. And it just looks like a beautiful perfume, you know, box that you open and the flower comes out. I'm very excited about that and bringing out 50 milliliter bottles this year, 2024. And obviously, this whole journey of discovery of different flowers, I have so many formulas in my mind that I want to launch into the markets. Now I know I have to focus on Una. But for sure, there'll be new things coming into the market. And I hope the market embraces this universal sip that we've created called Una. So who doesn't have room for a flower in their bar?
I'm sure there is plenty of room for that, and I think people would be excited. If you launched another bottle with a different flower as the main component, would it still be called Una, or would you call it something else?
That's a really good question. I think Una is always going to be in there for sure because Una is already so strong in itself. So there's lots of ideas of Una, Una, da da da, Una, da da da. But the every I can say that every single product that will be launching into the market is going to be super unique, super singular, and super authentic, really authentic. So I'm excited to share these new formulas that'll be coming out.
I'm looking forward to that too. And then one other thing that I know you do, I mean, obviously we talked about it earlier, the bottle label and your background. You have collaborated, I couldn't say that word for some reason, with artists for your label. Do you have any upcoming collaborations as well, even just for like a special edition of Una? Maybe a limited run of some kind, something like that?
Thank you for this question, Dan, because I'm very proud of the artist that partnered up with us for launching this first batch. Her name is Fabia Rodi. She's Spanish and Italian, based in Rome, and she was kind enough to share her beautiful world with us and with the world. So this is in itself a limited edition because as we grow, we'll be introducing different artists. And of course, because of my background, I've had the chance to meet amazing artists that I want to include. There's so many, but I want to work with them all, and I know I will. But every single bottle of Una, it is a limited edition. So for the next coming production, we will be partnering up with a different artist that will introduce us into their world and share it with us. So we're very excited about that.
That is such a cool fact. So how many like what's the run? Like is it like 100 bottles, 1,000 bottles? Like what is your limited production run on these?
Our first run with Fabia Rodi has been 20,000 bottles, and the next
Okay.
will
And the
be
next
the.
one's the same, the 2,500 for the next one?
We haven't decided yet if it's going to be exactly the same or what is going to make sense at that time, but for sure it is limited. So it might be 20, 25, 30, or 15. We have to really think about that strategy. But
I love that. That adds another, I talked about earlier the story. I truly believe spirits provide a unique opportunity to tell stories and experience a story, like create a story around having a drink and what you're doing, and having that limited run allows people to have a story to share as well. When you're talking about the bottle, you're like the uniqueness of the bottle, the uniqueness of the color and the flavor. And then this is also a limited edition. Like you may not be able to get your hands on it. I also assume that one of kind of like the reasons why right now that you are in like Florida, Texas, and California with your plans to expand. But part of that is that due to these production runs and making sure that you've thought out who gets what.
no, the main reason is to really grow organically. If we spread really big, really fast, we can't focus and we can't deliver what we want to deliver. Sometimes, again, going back to the initial conversation, sometimes we've had the possibility to expand into other markets, um, but we have to find the right time to do
Hmm.
so. Not only from a budget perspective, but from a strategy perspective. The markets that we're in right now are huge: Florida, Texas, California. I know that for the huge giants in the industry, it's 3 states. For us, it's huge, and we want to really focus on that. Of course, Una is available in our website nationwide. Anybody can get a bottle of Una in their hands. But to really consolidate the brand, to really do this in the proper manner that we want to do things, I don't see any huge expansion plans rather than opening New York 2025, and then keep consolidating and growing organically. Our ambition is in Una is to, of course, I think it's a universal sip, but it's really about getting into the hands of and into the moments that truly stay and are impactful and create unique experiences for you and for the rest of the world. So we have to do that slowly but surely.
And you're providing the home run baseball metaphor in business, which is you're giving back as well to breast cancer and women, which is something that is just amazing to do, especially so early into your journey. To have that kind of give back component really helps, I think, with people embrace what a business is doing. So congratulations there as well. And I think. You know what? Like such a huge opportunity to working with these artists to not just have these unique bottles, but maybe there's an opportunity one day to like be able to purchase the art as well as that kind of limited edition run kind of idea and uniqueness about it. But who knows?
Yes, for now I have that artwork of the first, but I think that's a great idea, to because in reality you go into our webpage, you can download the artwork, And, I see you have a beautiful space right there. You could put the work of Fabia Rodi because it is photographed. So that makes it easier to download and to have that limited edition artwork. But for sure, Una is so exciting every single day. Not only, as you say, working with artists, the people in the team are incredible. Like they're masterminds, they're fierce. We're mainly women, and it's just crazy, how much creativity we all have. I include myself humbly, but Una wouldn't be in the market if it wasn't really for these crazy minds around it. So it's really exciting, even though there's a ton of worries every single day and barriers that we have to overcome, but it's fun, And every time I speak with somebody about the industry or some friends that want to launch a new brand into the market, I always get to the conclusion that the markets that everybody tells you, don't get into this market, don't get into this market, that are the ones that are, go for it. Don't be afraid. I'm not afraid. I know it's crazy, but if I would have followed that advice, Una wouldn't be in the market.
Well, and you have an amazing story, an amazing product. I feel like the ones, honestly, you could say that almost about any industry that isn't like brand new and just blowing up. But like, especially in the spirits industry, like anybody can enter it, and it's kind of like, what's the flavor? What's the spirit of the month? And if you get some money behind you, and you can just like find somebody else that's creating the spirit, and you slap your label on it, and you're off running. I think that's where the risk is because there's nothing identifying you or separating you from everybody else on the shelf, right? It's really more about marketing then at that sense, where if you can create a unique product like Una is, in my mind, super unique. There's nothing else out there like this. It is vodka based, but the begonia and the orange and the vanilla flowers, like that flavor combination is completely unique. So congratulations to you on that. Before we wrap up, is there anything you'd like to share with everybody watching about your journey or Una Vodka or anything else?
Well, just to add, Dan, that what you just said is overwhelming and beautiful to me, because it is amazing to see how the story resonates with people, and not only from people from the industry, but it's amazing to be able, and I find myself in a very privileged position of being able to share this journey and how it resonates. It's just fascinating, to be able to talk to somebody like you, Dan, and to have you sip on Una. And for me, every bottle that gets to a nice home is just a story of success. So I just focus on that and continue growing. So
Well, you're doing an amazing job. The privilege is all mine. You talk about how much fun you have and your journey. It's the same thing for me. Having the opportunity to speak with amazing people like yourself doing great things within the industry is a privilege for me. So thank you so much for your time and joining me today and sharing this really interesting journey that you've had from the art world into Una, all while doing it, growing a family and being a mom. Again, is just that, extra layer that is super just, respectful. And it's been fascinating to learn about you. So thank you so much for your time today.
thank you for giving me the time for listening to our story. And thank you for your generosity, Dan.
Yeah, you're welcome. And for everybody watching, again, every Friday I post a cocktail recipe on YouTube Short, TikTok, Instagram. I'll be making, it sounds like at least the Una Martini, but I'm also going to pick a cocktail from the Una website. Look out for that. I'll show everybody how to make that. And until next time, we are out.